The next segment of the show is one of my favorite segments. He's a co-producer. He gives what I call a guest lecture. He's the head of the stats department at Loyola. Start clapping right up for Dr. Gregory Matthews, everybody.
Thank you. I'm not the head of the stats department. Thank God, that's such a nightmare of a job. They just have to find teachers to teach classes every August because they never have enough to teach them in September. I am the director of the Center for Data Science and Consulting, though. Let's get it right, Theo. So, who am I? My name is Greg Matthews. You can call me Dr. Gregory Matthews because I have a PhD in statistics, and I like to remind everyone of that as much as possible. So what I like to do is I like to take the theme of the show, and I like to do some statistical analysis. Right? That's what I usually do. I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to be a physicist tonight. And you're probably wondering, Greg, you have a PhD in statistics. What are your credentials? Well, here are my credentials. If you look at my academic lineage and you go back far enough, you can see that this is true. This is completely true. I am a direct descendant of Isaac Newton and Galileo. I think you've probably heard of these people before. So don't think of me tonight as a statistician. Think of me as a physicist. All right? I like to remind people of that as often as possible also. So the question for me was, what type of physics should I talk about? There's so many different types of physics. There's nuclear physics, and particle physics, and quantum physics, and biophysics, and astrophysics. And I, more or less arbitrarily, decided to talk about astrophysics. So I'm going to huge fans of astrophysics over here. I'm going to talk about astrophysics tonight as a physicist. So what are astrophysics? It's a science that employs methods and principles of physics and chemistry in the study of astronomical objects and phenomena. Okay? Let me give you some astrophysics fun facts. 99.86% of our solar system's mass is the sun. The Milky Way galaxy is about 120,000 light years across. There's an uncountable number of stars in the known universe. In summary, the sun is big, the galaxy's bigger, the universe is fucking huge. Oh my God, I'm boring myself. Jesus Christ. Turns out astrophysics is kind of boring. Were you not bored? Were you not bored? All right. Well, I have something even. Well, I was bored. You have to follow. Okay, look. Astronomical physics is not actually boring, but you have to follow. You have to believe that for the premise to work. So just go along with me. So astrophysics is the study of astronomical objects and phenomena. I wanted to make it more exciting, so I want to do astrophysics with the study of astrological objects and phenomena. Okay, so you see where I'm going with this? All right. So let's all pretend that astronomical physics is boring and astrological physics is the much more exciting thing that we're going to be talking about tonight. So, I can't believe anyone allows me to do these segments. I can't believe it. I love doing this. Every time you see me doing this, it's the best 10 minutes of my month. I love this so goddamn much. I can't believe I get to do this. Okay. So I want to cover two topics tonight. There are two things that I want to talk about. I want to talk about zodiac of physicists, and I also want to talk about the physics of the zodiac. Okay? So the first we're going to start with is the zodiac of physicists. What does it mean? Well, we're going to answer that. So let's review the zodiac. This is Mystic Meg. I like this picture. She's a real astrologer, and I assume world-class astrophysicist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, just so we are all on the same page about what the signs are, I'm going to go through all of these zodiac signs, and I'm going to give you some famous physicists who belong to that sign. Okay? So the first sign that starts in March is Aries. I have so every slide is going to have the sign. I have an image representing what that zodiac symbol is. I have the dates, the degrees, and I have some fun facts about people who are Aries. They're fiery, passionate, and high energy. A famous physicist? Euler. Anyone know who Euler is? The E guy? He invented the number E? No one? All right. Where are we? Georgia? Jesus Christ. No offense. No offense to Georgia. Taurus, represented by the bull, and a famous Taurus. Some famous Taurus are Oppenheimer, Max Planck, and Carl Friedrich Gauss. And if you ask me, oh my God, can you think of anything in the world more Taurus than inventing the atomic bomb? I mean, come on, Oppenheimer. That's such a Taurus thing to do. Gemini. Now, I had a decision to make here. I had to come up with who should represent the Gemini. There's a lot of twin options here, and I went with, I think, the most important twins in the world, the Winklevoss twins. Do people not not know who these people are? These are the social network losers, right? They're billionaires, but they didn't win, whatever. They're notorious losers. But my God, they're so dreamy in their tuxes. Look at that. Okay, so famous Gemini is Ruby Payne Scott. She's a famous physicist from the mid-1900s. Google her. She did a lot of good stuff. Okay. Cancer, represented by the crab here. Owen Chamberlain is a famous Cancer. The next one we have here is Leo. A lot of Leos here. So I wanted to spend a little bit more time on Leo. Some traits of Leos include things like they are ambitious, they are effortlessly funny, they look good with their shirts off, and they are excellent lovers. I'm not making this up. This is just what I found online when I went to see what Mystic Meg was talking about. Famous Leos, Schrodinger. You know the cat, the Schrodinger's cat guy? He tried to kill that cat, and he did, but also didn't. Other famous physicists who are Leos are, me. All these traits apply to me too. Isn't that weird? And I'm also a physicist. Also a fun fact, Leos, another Leo, the Winklevoss twins. Look at them with their shirts off. Oh, so sexy. I wish the Winklevoss twins were Geminis, but the world doesn't always work out the way you want it. They're Leos. Oh, God, they're so good looking. All right, Virgo. Famous Virgo here, we have Faraday. Google Faraday. He did a lot of really good stuff. I don't know, electromagnetism, I'm going to say. Is that Faraday? I don't remember. Libra. I love this picture. This is the scales. Famous Libra. Enrico Fermi was a famous Libra physicist. Scorpio. Marie Curie. Oh my God, guys. If you ask me, is there anything in the world more Scorpio than winning 2 Nobel Prizes, one for chemistry and one for physics? That's like the most Scorpio thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Sagittarius, represented by the Archer. Heisenberg is a famous physicist who's a Sagittarius. And in your lives, can you think of anything more Sagittarius than the uncertainty principle? So classic, such a classic Sagittarius thing to do. Capricorn, represented by the goat here. Newton and Hawking were Capricorns. And we have Aquarius here. Famous Aquarius are Galileo. And Pisces, finally, famous Pisces, Einstein. Einstein was a famous Pisces. I liked how the physicist who was just up here was like, she described Einstein's discovery of special relativity like, it was okay. What the physicist said about it. All right, so that's the zodiac of the physicists. Now what I want to talk about is the physics of the zodiac. So what are some natural questions that we have to ask here? First of all, what's the center of gravity of the zodiac? So for instance, if we took all the signs of the zodiac and we took their weights and we put them around a circle, where would the center of gravity be? So you can think about a crab weighing a few ounces, a lion's gonna weigh, 350 pounds, and those vectors represent the weights there. Now, I think a lot of these are pretty obvious about how much they weigh, but the question is, how much do a pair of Winklevosses weigh? And so, luckily we have Google, and we can Google that. They each weigh 220 pounds, so that's 440 pounds. I'm a math teacher, I did that in my head. And so the center of gravity is that blue dot right there. The Winklevoss twins are just slightly more heavy than the lion, so we end up with the center of gravity right there. It's being mostly driven by Taurus. Bulls are much larger than the other signs of the zodiac. Next natural question is, how long does it take to circumnavigate the zodiac? Now imagine you had that same circle right here, and you wanted to run a relay race where you started with the ram, and then the ram held a baton, and it went to the bull, and handed it off to the Winklevosses, and you went all the way around this circle. Okay? How long would it take to go around this entire circle? Well, here's a plot of the speeds, the average speed of all of these different signs of the zodiac. And so you can see here that the archer, who is shooting an arrow, is going to be the fastest. We also have a lion that is very fast. And the natural question to ask here is, Greg, well, how do we know how fast 2 Winklevosses go? This is quickly stopping to be about zodiacs, and it's going to be entirely about the Winklevoss twins. We're off the rails. How fast did 2 Winklevoss twins go? Well, luckily for us, they competed in the Olympics, and we know exactly what their time was over the course of 2,000 meters. They did 7 minutes, 5 seconds, and 58. So when you put that into a conversion, they go 10.5 miles an hour. That's how fast the Winklevosses go. And so you can start to add up all of these times as they go around. But then you get to the scales, and scales don't move. And so the amount of time it would take to circumnavigate is infinite. I've solved it for you. I'm sure you're wondering about it. An infinite amount of time to circumnavigate the zodiac. I should have stuck with astronomical physics. Okay. So finally, the last natural question is, what are the physics of the individual signs? And let's deal with a couple of these. Capricorn. What are the physics of goats? Well, an interesting fact about goats is that they don't adhere to the rules of physics. They can just sit on the sides of walls. So goats don't adhere to the laws of physics. Virgo. This isn't about physics, but it's about Virgo is the sign for virgin, and I want to read you a fun fact about my academic great-great-great-grandfather, and I love this. Isaac Newton was the first physicist. Here's a fun passage about them. He is not, this is true, he is not known to have ever had a romantic relationship of any kind and is believed to have died a virgin. He was so busy doing science that he didn't have time for that kind of garbage. Do you know who did have time for that? Schrodinger, because he was a Leo! Spring break with Schrodinger! The uncertainty principle. Am I high or not? I'm both! Okay. That's real stupid. Okay. And finally, Gemini, who are represented by twins, and I'm sure since we have a lot of physics people here, you're all aware of the famous twins experiment where you take two twins, you send one off into a spaceship near the speed of light, you leave one on Earth, and when the person comes back in the spaceship, the person on Earth has aged, and the person in the spaceship has not aged as much. This is a fairly well-known, the twin paradox. It's not actually a paradox, right? This is just an application of relativity. Okay. So the question is, does this apply to the Winklevoss twins? And the answer is no, because neither one of them ages. And there's actually a law that's even more important. It supersedes relativity. And so why don't the Winklevosses age? Because Winkle don't wrinkle. You know, I don't look for laughs. I want people to just go, oh, God. That's really what makes me excited. Do you have any idea how long and how pleased I was when I came up with the phrase, Winkle don't wrinkle? You'll never have any idea. What have we learned today? Astrological physics is better than astronomical physics. Can you even imagine something more tourist than inventing the atomic bomb? Scales are bad at relay races. And finally, what I want you to take home is what I just ended with. Winkle don't wrinkle! That's the take-home message of this. Follow the show on Instagram. There's the cat. Thanks for listening to talk about astrology.
We overbet Matthews, everybody. That was awesome. Okay.